Hi, Karen Curry Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to you guys a lot about the energy of the unexpected and what the unexpected does for us. The energy of the unexpected in the gate 51, which is oftentimes in human design called the gate of shock, is actually transiting in the sun until Sunday, and we've been playing with it for the last couple days. In addition, it's in the planet Uranus until the end of next week, and then we'll be done with this for a while. But this energy of shock, it is about being shocked. It's about having shocking, unexpected experiences. But it's always important to remember that the purpose of this shock is not to destroy us, not to break us down. It's to teach us to crack open our hearts and to stay in a place of surrender to the personal ego and alignment to service for something greater or bigger than us. It's a place where we get initiated into an understanding that there's a bigger web in life that's unfolding. There's a spiritual journey here. There's a direction for what's evolving on the planet that ultimately is being led by spirit or the universe or God or whatever you want to call it. And when that 51 comes into our field, as it has been for a long time and as it is very consciously and prevalently right now in the sun, when that 51 plays in our field energetically, it's about teaching us to surrender to something bigger than ourselves, about helping us understand that the true expansion of our power, our impact, what we're here to do, the creation of resources, that everything that we need in our personal earthly survival and everything that we want in terms of the evolution of humanity gets accelerated and amplified when we let go and we trust that it's not up to our own personal will to make it happen. It's in the surrendering to the bigger picture. When we let go and we trust that the details are going to be handled, provided that we listen carefully and stay attuned, provided that we remember, tricky as this is, that we're not always in charge, and that that's actually a good thing, because infinite mind, divine mind, is way bigger than our brains and has a much better capacity to unfold this magnificent story in the way that's right for everyone if we play our role in the story rather than trying to control the story. That being said, on a very concrete and very third-dimensional way, be prepared still for things to be a little bit unexpected. Be prepared for things to not completely roll out according to plan. And if they don't, rather than getting frustrated or upset or devastated, take a step back and go, okay, what's happening here? What's aligning me in this story that's playing out in my personal life? Where am I needing to surrender my control and trust that things are unfolding exactly the way that they need to? Now, that being said, the rest of the week after Sunday is going to be about completing things, bringing things to completion. So we're finishing up this cycle. Next week, towards the middle of the week, or towards Friday of next week, we'll be letting go and finishing things. And then we move into some really powerful, positive forward momentum until we hit Mercury retrograde. But we're really in this momentous cycle that has a lot of forward energy, a lot of initiating energy, and certainly the 51 can also be an energy of initiation. It's the energy for beginning to bring the end to completion, all right? It's the beginning of bringing the end to completion so that we can bring the new in, and that's where we're at. That being said, as I said, here's the kicker for this week, and it's a really, really important one, especially for those of you who are soft and gentle and nurturing people who have a difficult time saying no and letting go of things you're not responsible for. This is the week you get an opportunity to break that pattern. In our relationship energy this week, we are playing with a deep sense of responsibility and obligation. Now, this energy is important energy. It's energy that is nurturing. It's energy that's about fulfilling your responsibilities and obligations to others. It's the energy for transmission of values and the creation of laws and rules. It's mama energy. It's mothering, nurturing energy. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, okay? It's also an energy, though, that sometimes compels some of us to take responsibility for things that we're not ultimately responsible for. And if you start to say no, which is a tricky energy sometimes when this responsibility piece plays, the companion that goes hand in hand with this responsibility is guilt. And sometimes that energy of guilt drives us to take responsibility for things we're not responsible for, and even to rationalize sometimes being responsible for things we're not responsible for, or justifying things that we shouldn't be justifying. So as we go into this cycle of bringing things to completion this week, one of the things I really invite you to step into looking at, particularly in the context of your relationships, and not just your love relationships, this is your relationships with your children, your family, your friends, your business partners, your clients, to really look at your relationships and to ask yourself, is there anything going on in my life where I am assuming responsibility, or I'm rationalizing something that I shouldn't be responsible for, or I shouldn't be justifying? That's the most important question. And the second question is, if you come up with a yes to that answer, the next question is to ask yourself, whose problem is it? The greatest gift sometimes that we can give other people is giving them the power and the responsibility for owning the truth of where they're at, and for owning their own responsibility for their own lives. So there is this theme this week of really learning to look at, not learning, but looking at our relationships, and ultimately maybe learning to let go of the things you're not responsible for. It'll keep you vital. It'll keep the real love, the real connection alive in your life. You may feel guilty or bad, but ultimately think about this. Particularly if you think about this from a parenting perspective and use that as a metaphor, it's important. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to give a person in a relationship responsibility for their own stuff. When you give someone responsibility for handling their own obligations, basically you're casting a vote of confidence in their direction. You're saying, I believe in you, I know you can handle this, I don't have to do this for you. And certainly one of the core building blocks of self-esteem for any human being is the capacity to believe in your own capability. When you think you're capable, and when people treat you as if you're capable, your sense of self-worth and your lovability goes up. So sometimes saying no and letting go of obligations and responsibilities is the most loving act that you can commit. Not only for the person, but also ultimately for yourself. Because if you spend a lot of your energy being responsible for something you're not responsible for, you're not going to have the energy that you're going to need for the forward momentum to create what you're here to create, to serve in the way that you're here to serve. So kind of a grounded, very basic message that says, this week we get to all stop being codependent. This is not always an easy challenge, but certainly is a challenge that is one that calls us to a higher place of love and expectation of our loved ones. So be aware that that may be a pattern that you see in your relationships this week. Other than that, a great week again, as always, to check in with your mindset. Make sure your mindset is strongly in a place of abundance and possibility, and that you invite yourself to engage in a dialogue with yourself this week about what possibilities can you be stepping into in your reality, to take whatever steps you need to step into those realities, and to remember to surrender to the grace of the universe, and remember that there is a divine plan here. There is divine infinite creativity at play always, and that when you let go, you allow those bigger possibilities and opportunities to unfold in your life, and you don't have to squish your brain trying to figure out what's the next step. So have a powerful, powerful week. Let go of the things you're not responsible for. Be prepared for the unexpected. Remember that the unexpected isn't always bad. Sometimes that means winning the lottery. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.